Story 1. Brand name clothing for babies. Your child will soil and soak it until they outgrow it in a month. Story 2. DoorDash. If you really want to order food, make sure you check if the restaurant has its own delivery services. It's usually cheaper that way anyway. Story 3. The food at an airport once you're through security is overpriced. 10 euros for the driest piece of bread with a tasteless tomato and chewing gum quality mozzarella, and some grass disguised as basil, is such a waste of money. The worst thing is, I cannot get anything else here because it's 7 in the morning. Story 4. Easy. Health insurance. The fact that we literally pay monthly for it and still have to pay a deductible up to a certain amount is crazy to me. Then, they can turn around and deny your claim if they feel it's not necessary. For example, my father had major heart surgery and the doctors wanted him to wear a heart monitor for the first few weeks when he was released to ensure things were progressing in the right direction. I believed it also served as an electric shock if his heart stopped beating. The insurance company decided it wasn't needed and denied coverage for it. It's fascinating to me that the insurance company can make that decision and trump a doctor's request. So we had to go out of pocket to purchase the thing. Story 5. Paying to check in luggage has changed. It used to be free, but now a return flight costs more than the actual suitcase. Story 6. Monthly software subscriptions for basic stuff. Used my invoicing software for 8 years. Then they decided on an update that they were going all monthly subscriptions starting at $9.99. I am not running a large company and usually send 6 to 10 invoices a month. These are basic documents that could be easily replicated in a free word processor. I just found an older version of the software and run it on an older computer. I would have paid about $250 so far otherwise. Story 7. Fast fashion. I only just threw away an old t-shirt that had worn out after more than a decade of use. Yet a pair of cheap shoes a relative bought from Australian Kmart for Christmas came apart after just 4 months. People who buy fast fashion end up spending more money on clothes in their lifetime than someone who buys more expensive items that will last longer. Story 8. Gossip magazines. Anything about celebrities, really. Anything that takes away from becoming self-sufficient and learning to take care of yourself. Story 9. Buying cosmetics in video games. Why would you pay $20 for a skin when you could get 2 burritos or even a whole other game? Story 10. Fancy handbags. I cannot fathom the whole situation. Someone buys the most god-awful looking handbag for 5 or even 6 figures and then brags about it. It is so weird. Story 11. Text. I am talking about the people who genuinely think it's waste-free and do it for the aesthetic. Story 12. Clubbing involves paying an exorbitant fee after waiting in line for 2 hours to enter a hot, cramped room with music that's so loud, you lose your hearing for a couple of hours. And don't get me started with the drinks. It's $25 for a cup of a watered-down cocktail. Story 13. Dating apps profit from you being single. They are designed to keep you single and paying. Loneliness is lucrative. Story 14. Mega anything, especially mega yachts or mega mansions. What is the point of having a property or an asset so massive like that? Especially if it requires high maintenance or is very expensive to repair something when damaged. I personally think it's a waste of money that can be used or spent on something more efficient. But to each their own. Story 15. Driving multiple hours to work in an office when your company has proven that working from home is a viable alternative. Story 16. Insurance is important not because it is unnecessary, but because it should be. Consider healthcare in the United States. Story 17. Uber Eats, DoorDash, etc. People complain about being broke, but will order a $20 burger from a dollar menu, including tip, every day. This is not about inflation or anything. It's just what I have witnessed from people I know. Story 18. Funerals, it's a double-edged sword for me. As a mourner, I totally get it, and if it were up to me, as in if I'm in charge, I'll be darned if you don't get everything you want. But when it's my time, the thought of spending thousands of dollars on a coffin, thousands of dollars on a plot, and potentially thousands of dollars on a headstone makes me shiver. It just seems so wasteful. I'm dead. I don't really care that much. I'd much rather have everyone come together, with music, good food, and drinks, hopefully with some of my favorites, and celebrate the memories they had with me. Story 19, most designer stuff, you're just paying for the branding. 9 times out of 10, it's made in the same factory that's making other less costly brands. Story 20, I specifically was one person who gave in and bought some slime from a shop I saw on YouTube Shorts without being properly informed that I can buy the supplies and make a ton of it myself for sensory relaxation. I understand that handmade goods come with a labor and time cost, but come on now, $100 for 6 small containers is ridiculous. Story 21, alcohol. In moderation, sure, it's a good way to socialize and relax once in a while. But once you get into the depths of it, it gets ugly really fast, and then there is no coming back. You can't become a hardcore alcoholic and then go back to moderation. You might think you can, but it doesn't work like that. Your brain is already changed. Once you are addicted, it is so expensive. A 26-ounce bottle a day, even of the cheapest nail polish remover quality stuff you can find, will drain you of all your money real quick. I've seen it happen many times. I went there myself. Been 3 years since I crawled out of the bottle. Story 22, eyelash extensions. Literally, who cares if they are an extra 3 millimeters long? And they are like $60 every few weeks to maintain. What a rort. How there is a market for it is beyond me. Story 23, going on a cruise. Aside from being an illness hazard, why in the name of all the gods would I sign up to vacation in a waterborne apartment building? Hundreds of people, noise, kids, amenities I could care less about. Packed in like bees in a beehive. So much no. It's like camping at a campground among all the RVs and motorhomes while in my tent. My rage generator would never shut down like it's supposed to on vacation. Story 24, Instacart. Manicures. Not paying your credit card in full and incurring fees. Fees are the stupidest thing someone can waste their money on. Story 25, gifts for people who didn't deserve it. Paying for food or things for people who want to split the bill. Story 26, alcohol. Yes, drinking with friends or experiencing intimacy is great. However, as you age, the hangovers become significantly worse. Consequently, all you are left with the next morning is a considerable amount of wasted money. You feel terrible, and you are miserable for most of the following day. And that is only if you do not say or do anything regrettable. Additionally, there is a very strange culture and social pressure to drink, especially at dinners, baseball games, and dates. I wish I could reclaim all the money I spent on alcohol over the years, especially in my 20s. I would have been much better off in many ways. Story 27, paying my hard-earned money to buy boosts to pass a level in Candy Crush. Never have I ever, and I play it every day. Story 28, circumcision. You can get all the purported benefits through means that are cheaper, less invasive, and more effective. The cost in the United States is grossly obscured by insurance coverage. Story 29, most designer fashion items, a lot of expensive brands don't even use real leather for bags. If I want a fancy plastic bag with a fancy name on it, I can get it for cheap as a dupe or no name. Better to invest the money in an exchange-traded fund or real estate than in a Louis Vuitton bag. Story 30, weddings. Every company you contact will see rolling dollar signs when you tell them it's for a wedding event. If you plan a regular party with photographers and caterers, you would see way lower prices compared to telling them it's for a wedding. It's absurd. I can't fathom why anyone is willing to pay $10,000 to $50,000 or more for one single day to entertain their family. Stupid to me. Story 31, college. There, I said it. College should only be in your mind if you want to be a doctor, lawyer, veterinarian, and so on. For fields that need it, yes, go. But it shouldn't be everyone's first option after high school. Story 32, children's entertainment industry, like children's toys, playgrounds, or anything that's aimed for children. I say this mostly because of the cost compared to what you get out of them. You can rarely find cheap things for the kids, and also they crave different things often, so the costs add up so fast. If those things were cheaper, it's okay, but it's only getting more expensive. Story 33, cigarettes. Oddly, it's always people working in lower wage jobs that seem to be addicted to that expensive and nasty habit. Story 34, changing your phone every 1 to 2 years because you prefer a new model, not because your other phone is broken or doesn't work. Story 35, in the UK, Sky TV, With more sports now moving to separate companies to which you can subscribe separately, justifying over £100 a month to watch the chase or the news is a bit of a waste. Amazon Fire Stick is much cheaper. Story 36. Fancy salt. Any trace minerals are so minor it doesn't matter, and you can't taste the difference. Also, salt grinders. It's a rock. There are no aromatics. You don't lose anything by grinding it ahead of time. Story 37. Recreational drugs. It's like paying to feel terrible the next day. You would be better off lighting money on fire. Story 38. So many things. A personal pet peeve of mine are shower gels and liquid soaps for several reasons. First, liquid soaps are made so you use them faster since soap is originally a solid. Secondly, liquid soaps contain many unnecessary extra components to make them more appealing and keep them in liquid form. Lastly, shower gels are often heavily perfumed and with added color for absolutely no reason. No, I don't want to smell like Jungle Splash. Instead, get a nice bar of soap. It will last months. Story 39. My medical bills. Please help me, Greg. I miss you. I want to live. The truck came out of nowhere, and I can't hear you. Story 40. A phone that costs more than maybe $300 very rarely does something novel. Story 41. Middleman industries include healthcare plans, which are often conflated with stop-loss insurance, industry lobbyists, and tax preparers for individual workers. Story 42. Going out just to drink. I like to get a good buzz on, but going to a bar to sit inside and drink in an uncomfortable chair around strangers just isn't it for me. I would rather just hang at a friend's house, or grab a case of beer and go for a hike, or just have a fire. Story 43. Cigarettes invite a mental illness, namely addiction, kill your lungs and body, and smell terrible. I do not know why anyone would even bother. Story 44. Big fancy weddings cost tens of thousands of dollars. Have a simple one for a few $100 and invest that money in your life together afterward. Story 45. Coffee from coffee shops or cafes. The cost of one takeaway coffee is the same as a bag of coffee bought from a supermarket, and you can make more than 10 coffees for the same price. Even if you buy upmarket coffee or the good stuff, it's not that much more expensive than a single coffee from a cafe. Story 46. Makeup. Unnatural fingernails and toenails. Tattoos that do not have very personal meanings. By buyer beware, I mean not outside judgments. Donating to churches and organizations that overpay their staff. Fashion as art, I understand. Having to wear what everyone else does bothers me, such as puffy jackets, this year's color, suits, bridal gowns, high heels, and more. Story 47. Big weddings. I mean, if you are rich and you want a big, fat wedding that you can afford, then good for you. I am talking about those who would put themselves in debt purposely to have a big wedding they absolutely cannot afford just to make their relatives jealous. I do not get it. Why?